Class 8, Chapter 6 Reproductions in Animal. Do recall the process of digestion, circulations, respirations which you have studied in your previous class. These processes are essential for the survival of every individual. You have also learned about the process of reproduction in plant. Reproduction is essential for that continuation of species. Imagine what would have happened if organism had not reproduced. You will realize that reproduction is very important as it ensures that the continuation of similar kind of individual generation after generation. You have already learned in your previous class about reproduction in plant. In this chapter, we shall learn how reproduction take place in animal. Mode of reproduction. Have you seen the young one of different animals? Try to name some of the young ones by completions table 6.1. Shown in example at some number 1 and 5. You must have seen the young ones of various animals being born. Can you tell how chicks and caterpillar are born? How are kitten and puppies born? Do you think that these young ones look the same before they were born as they do now? Let us find out. Table 6.1. Animals young one. Humans, baby, cat, dog, butterfly, hens, chicks, cow and frog. Just as in plant, there are two modes by which animal reproduce. These are sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. Try to recall reproduction in plant, which you study in class 7th. You will remember that plant that reproduce sexually have male and female reproductive part. Can you name this part in animal also? Males and female have different reproductive part or organs. Like plant, the reproductive part in animals also produce a gamete that fuse to form a zygote. It is a zygote which develop into a few individuals. This type of reproduction is beginning for the fusion of male and female gametes is called sexual reproduction. Let us find out the reproductive part. In humans and study the process of reproduction in them. Male reproductive organ. The male reproductive organ include pairs of testes, singular testes, the two sperm duct and penis. The testes produce the male gamete called sperm. Millions of sperm are produced by the testes. Look at figure 6.2 which show the pictures of a sperm. Though the sperm are very small in size, each has a head, a middle pisces and tail. Does it appear to be a single cell? Indeed, each sperm cell and penis. Sperm is a single cell with all usual cellular component. Head, middle pisces, tail. Human sperm. What purpose does the tails in sperm serve? Male reproductive organ. The female reproductive organ are a pair of ovaries, oviduct, fallopian tubes, and the uterus. 6.8. The ovary produce oviduct, ovary, uterus. Female reproductive organ in humans. Female gamete called ovary eggs. Figure 6.4. In human beings, a single mature egg is released into the oviduct by one of the ovaries. Every month, uterus is a part of their development of the baby. Takes place like the sperm in egg is also a single cell. Nucleus. Human ovum. Bojo recalls that the size of egg in animals varies. The egg may be very small as a human's, much larger as hens. Ostrich egg is the larger. Fertilizations. The first step in the process of reproduction is the fusion of sperm and an ovum. When a sperms come in contact with an egg, one of the sperm may fuse with the egg. Such a fusion of the egg and the sperm is called fertilization. During fertilization, the nuclei of sperms and egg fuse to form a single nucleus. This results in the formations of a fertilized egg or a zygote. Did sperm and ovum fertilizations. Do you know that a zygote is the beginning of new individuals? Fusing nuclei, zygote. The process of fertilization is the meeting of an egg cell from mother and a sperm cell from the father, so the new individuals inherit some characteristic from mothers and some from the father. Look at your brother or sister. See if you can recognize some characters in them similar to those of your mother of your father. Fertilization, which takes place inside the female body, is called internal fertilization. Internal fertilization occurs in many animals, including humans, cow, ducks, and hens. Have you heard of test tube babies? Bojo and Paheli teachers once told them in class that in some women oviducts are blocked. These women are unable to bear babies because sperm cannot reach the egg for fertilization. In such cases, doctors collect freshly released egg and sperm and keep them together from 2 hours for IVF in vitro fertilization. Fertilization outside bodies. In case fertilization occurs, the zygote is allowed to develop for about a week and then it is placed in the mother's uterus. Complete development takes place in the uterus and the baby is born like any other baby. Babies born through these techniques are called test tube babies. This term is actually misleading because babies cannot grow in test tube. You will the surprised to know that in many animals and fertilization take place outside the body of the female. In these animal fertilization take place in water. Let us find out how these happen. Activity 6.1. Visit some ponds and slow following streams during spring or rainy season or look out for outside a frog's egg floating in water. Write down the color and size of the eggs. During spring or rainy seasons, frog and toads move to ponds and slow flowing stream when the male and females comes together in water. The female lays hundreds of eggs. Unlike hen's egg, frog egg is not covered by the cell and it is completely very delicate. A layer of jelly holds the egg together and provide protections to the eggs. Eggs of frog. As the eggs are laid, the male deposits sperm over them. Each sperm swims randomly in water with the help of its long tail. The sperm come in contact with the egg. This results in fertilization. This type of fertilization, in which the fusion of male and female gametes take place outside the body of the female, is called external fertilization. It is a very common in aquatic animals such as a fish and starfish, etc. Why do you fish and frogs lay eggs in the hundred whereas a hen lays only one egg at a one time? Through these animals lay hundreds of eggs and release millions of sperm. All these eggs do not get fertilized and develop into new individuals. This is because the egg and sperm get exposed to the water movement, wind and rainfall also. There are other animals in the pond which may feed on eggs. Thus productions of large number of egg and sperm is necessary to the ensure fertilizations of at least of the few them. How could a single cell become such as a big individual? Development of embryo. Fertilization result in the formations of zygote which brings to the development into a embryo. The zygote divided rapidly to give rise to a ball of the cell. The cell then begin to form groups of that develop into different tissues and organ of the body. This developing structure is termed as an embryo. The embryo gets embedded in the wall of the uterus for further development. 6.8. The embryo continues to develop in the uterus is gradually develop bodies. Uterus. Zygote formations and development of an embryo from the zygote, a ball of cells. Endocyte embedding of the embryo in the uterus enlarged. Parts such as hand, legs, head, eyes, ears, etc. The stage of the embryos in the which all of the body part can be identified is called a fetus. 6.2. When the development of the fetus is a complete, mother gives birth to the babies. Uterus. Fetus in the uterus. Internal fertilization take place in the hens also, but the do hens give a birth to the babies like humans beings and cows. You now that they do not, then how are chicks born? Let us find out. Soon after but fertilizations, the zygote divided rapidly and travels down the oviduct. As it travels down, many protective layer are formed are around it. The hard cell that you see in hens egg is one such protective layer. After the hard cell is formed around the developing embryo, the hen finally lays the egg. The embryo takes about 3 weeks to develop into a chicks. You must have seen that hen sitting on its eggs too. Provide sufficient warmth. Did you know that development of the chicks takes place inside the egg cell? During this period after the chicks is completely developed in birds open the egg cell. In animals which undergo external fertilization, development of embryo takes place outside the female body. The embryo continue to grow within their covering. After the embryos develop, the egg hatches. You must have seen numerous tadpoles swimming in ponds and streams. Viviparous and oviparous animal. We have learned that some animals give birth to young ones, while some animals lay eggs which later develop into young ones. The animals which give birth to the young ones are called viviparous animal. Those animals which lay eggs are called oviparous animal. The following activities will help you understand better and differentiate between the viviparous and oviparous animal. Try to observe egg of the following organism: frog, lizard, butterfly, moth, hen, crow, any others bird where you able to observe eggs, follow them. Make drawings of the eggs that you have observed. The eggs of few animals are easy to observe because their mothers lay them outside their bodies. These are example of oviparous animal, but you would not be able to collect the eggs of a dog, cow or cat. This is because they do not lay egg. The mothers give birth to the young ones. These are example of viviparous animal. Viviparous animals direct birth animals. Oviparous animals birth in eggs. That's concept. Can you now give some more example of viviparous and oviparous example? Young ones to adults, the new individuals which are born or hatches from the eggs continue to grow till they become adult. In some animal, the young ones may look very different from the adult. The life cycle of frog is shown figure 6.10. Observe the different stage of frog starting from the egg to the adult stage. We find that there are three distinct stages, that is egg, tadpole and adult. Don't the tadpole look so different from the adult? Can you imagine that these tadpole would some day become frogs? The tadpole transform into adults capable of jumping and swimming. The transformations of larva into an adult through the drastic changes is called metamorphic. What about the changes that we observe in our body as we grow? Do you think we too undergo metamorphic? In human beings, body parts are similar to those present the adult are present from the time of birth. Asexual reproduction. So far, we have learned about reproductions in some familiar animals, but what about very small animal like hydra and microscopic organism like amoeba? Do you know how they reproduce? Let us find out. Life cycle of frog. Adult frog, late tadpole, early tadpole eggs. Get permanent slide of hydra. Observe them using hands or microscopic looks out for any bulls from the parent bodies. Count the numbers of bulls that you see in different slide. Also note the size of bulls. Draw the different diagram of hydra as you see it. Compare it with a figure. Budding in hydra. In each hydra, there may be one or more bulls. Their bulls are the developing new individuals and they are called birds. Recall the presence of bird in yeast. In hydra, to the new individuals develop as outgrowth from a single parent. This type of reproduction is which only a single parent is involved is called asexual reproduction. Since new individuals develop from the birds in hydra, this type of asexual reproduction is called budding. Another method of the asexual reproduction is observed in the microscopic organism amoeba. Let us see how this happens. You have already learned about the structure of amoeba. You will recall that amoeba is single cell organism. Figure 6.2. It's being the process of reproductions by the division of its nucleus into two nuclei. Figure 6.2. This is followed by the division of its body into two, each part of receiving a nucleus. Figure 6.2. Finally, two amoeba are produced from one parent amoeba. Figure 6.12. This type of asexual. Dividing nucleus and daughters amoeba. Binary fusion in amoeba. Reproduction in which an animals reproduce by dividing into two individuals is called binary fusion. Apart from the budding and binary fusion, There are other methods by which a single parent reproduce young ones. You will be study about this in your higher class. Story, Dolly and clones. Cloning is a reproduction of an exact copy of cell. मतलब what is a story of Dolly and clone? And that is a story. Cloning is a production of exact copy of cell. Any other living part or complete organism. Cloning of animal was successfully performed for the first time by Allen Williams and is a college as the Roshni Institute of Edinburgh, Scotland. They successfully cloned and shaped named Dolly. Dolly was born on 5th July 1996 and was the first mammal to be a clone. Finer Dorset shape, second Scottish blackface savior, and Dolly. You know that during the process of cloning a dolly, a cell was collected from mm, a mammary gland of a female fine Dorset shape 6.3. Stimulously an egg was obtained. From a Scottish backwards view, the nucleus was removed from the. Then the nucleus of mammary gland cell was the fem Dorset ship was inserted into the egg of Scottish blackfaw's aviu whose nucleus had been removed. The egg those produced was implanted into the Scottish blackfaw's aviu. Development of the egg followed normally and finally Dolly was born. Those Dolly was given birth by a Scottish blackface aviu. It was found to be absolutely identical to the film Dorset ship from which the nucleus was taken. Since the nucleus from egg of Scottish blackface aviu was removed, Dolly did not show any character of Scottish blackface aviu. Dolly was a healthy Dolly was healthy clone of the filmy Dorset shape and produced several offspring of own through normal sexual means. Unfortunately, Dolly died on 14 February 2003 due to certain lungs and diseases. Since Dolly, several attempts have been made of produce clone and mammals. Heavier. Many die before birth to die soon after birth. The clone animals may near time found in between born with several abnormalities. Keyword: asexual reproduction, binary fissions, budding, eggs, embryo, external fertilization, fertilizations, futures, internal fertilization, metamorphosis, oviparous animal, sexual reproduction, sperm, viviparous animal, and zygote. What you have learned. हमने क्या लर्न किया? What you have learned. There are two modes by which animal reproduce. These are first sexual reproduction, second asexual reproduction. You understand? Reproduction is the resulting from fusion of male and female gamete is called sexual reproduction. The reproductive organ in the female include ovaries, oviduct, and uterus. The reproductive organs in male and include testes, sperm, or duct, and penis. The ovary produce female gamete called the ovum. Testes product male gamete called sperm. The fusion of ovum and sperm is called fertilization. The fertilized egg is called a zygote. Fertilization that takes place inside the female bodies is called internal fertilization. This is observed in human beings and other animals such as a hens, cow, or dog. Fertilization that takes place outside the female bodies is called external fertilizations. These observed in frogs, fish, starfish, etc. The zygote divided rapidly to give rise to an embryo. The embryo gets enveloped in the wall of the uterus for the further development. The stage of embryo in which all the body parts are identical is called fetus. Animals such as human beings, cow, dogs, which give birth to young ones are called viviparous animal. Animals such as a hen, frog, lizard, butterfly, which lay eggs are called oviparous animal. The transformations of an larva into adult through the drastic changes is called the metamorphosis. The type of reproduction in which only a single parent involved is called a sexual reproduction. In Hydra, new individuals develop from the birds. The method of asexual reproduction is called budding. Amoeba reproduces by dividing itself into two. This type of asexual reproduction is called binary fission. Thank you, friends. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and please share with share with videos and comment. Thank you for watching.